now let's turn to the big focus story. Like I said in the beginning of the show, that we are turning the spotlight again on the issue of air pollution, especially on the issue of the Graded Response Action Plan, or GRAP. Is that a non-starter? Are we losing the battle on pollution? Because this is a program that kicks in only when the situation is bad. There is no sustained program throughout the year. The citizens choke and netas bicker. That has been the narrative so far. Authorities have started pleading helplessness. Should this particular clean air program be scrapped altogether and started afresh with proactive measures and aggressive implementation? Isn't that the need of the hour? Should everything else be dropped before we fix air that the citizens are breathing? That's the question we want to ask. We'll talk about all of these issues with a panel of experts. But let's first, for the sake of our viewers, get down to the basics and put out some numbers for perspective. This year itself, 17,000 stubble burning cases have been recorded. Why have we failed to find a solution? Let's listen in to my colleagues' ground reports on the issue of stubble burning.
पंजाब में जो पराली जलाए जाने के मामले हैं, ये पिछले साल से ज़्यादा अब सामने आ रहे हैं। यानी कि पिछले साल का रिकॉर्ड टूट चुका है। 17,000 से ज़्यादा पराली इस साल पंजाब में 1 नवंबर तक जलाई गई है, जबकि 2021 में ये आंकड़ा 14,900 के आसपास था। और पराली जलाने की जो स्थिति है वो हम आपको दिखाएंगे। इस वक्त मैं मोहाली ज़िले में हूं और आप देखिए किस तरीके से यहाँ पर जो पराली है वो धधक रही है, जिससे बड़ी मात्रा में जो धुआं है वो उठ रहा है। आग की लपटें आप यहाँ पर आपको दिखाई देंगी किस तरीके से उठ रही हैं। और ये नज़ारा पंजाब के कई ज़िलों में हमें देखने को मिल रहा है पिछले करीब 1 महीने से। और ख़ासकर दिवाली तक स्थिति कुछ नियंत्रण में ज़रूर थी, जब सरकार ने दावा किया कि करीब 30% की कमी आई है। लेकिन दिवाली से लेकर लगातार मामले, एक दिन को अगर हम छोड़ दें 26 अक्टूबर को, उसके बाद से लगातार रोजाना 1700, 1800, 2000 के करीब जो मामले हैं वो सामने आ रहे हैं। कल जो आंकड़ा है वो 1800 के आसपास है, इससे पहले 2000 से ऊपर आंकड़ा था। और ये तस्वीरें जो दिखा रही हैं ये डराने वाली तस्वीरें हैं। और जो दिल्ली में स्थिति बनी है पोल्यूशन की, उसका एक बड़ा कारण पराली को माना है। हालांकि उसके लिए और भी कई कारण जिम्मेदार हैं, लेकिन पराली पर नियंत्रण को लेकर तमाम दावे और वादे किए गए थे, तमाम तैयारियों की बात की जा रही थी, वो तैयारी कहीं दिखाई नहीं देती।
2019 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਲੈ ਸੀ ਹੈਪੀ ਸੀਡਰ 4 ਆਪਣੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਕੁੱਲ, ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ 4 ਆ। 2 ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈਗੇ 40% ਸਬਸਿਡੀ ਤੇ 2 80% ਸਬਸਿਡੀ ਤੇ। ਮਤਲਬ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਦੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਏ ਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਤਾਂ 1 ਸਾਲ ਕੁਛ ਸਮਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਹੋਈ ਆ। ਉਦੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਜਿਵੇਂ 3 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਬੰਦ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਫਾਰਮਰ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਖਰਚਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ। ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਪਰਾਲੀ ਜੇ ਅੱਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਖਰਚਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆਉਂਦਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਆ। ਨਾ ਚੱਲਣ ਦਾ ਮੇਨ ਕਾਰਨ ਆਪਣਾ ਇਹ ਆ। ਬਾਕੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਅੱਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਟੂਗੀ ਉਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣੀ। ਮਤਲਬ ਮੇਨ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਅੱਗ ਲੱਗਣੋਂ ਹਟ ਜੂਗੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰ, ਉਦੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਹੋਊਗੀ।
Farmers switch to alternative methods if it is not cost effective for them. It simply does not make sense to give an option that is costlier for the farmer. So what are the authorities doing about it? Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal tweeted that construction activities in the national capital have been halted, and he has directed Labour Minister Manish Sisodia to aid construction workers with 5,000 rupees till construction activities are resumed. So all of this only after the situation has turned grave. Like every year, these are damage control measures, face-saving measures in a way announced perhaps to salvage reputation. And yes, even an issue like pollution is not spared of political bickering. At a time when you would want all parties or leaders across political lines to sit on one table and fix the clean air program, ensure its implementation, what we have instead is a blame game that is only getting worse, with each side either shifting responsibility or simply living in denial. Let's listen in to Delhi Environment Minister, who made a statement today trying to absolve himself, putting the onus on other states, and of course strong rebuttals have come in as well.
28 अक्टूबर से लेकर के और 8 नवंबर के बीच में ये सीएससी की स्टडी क्या कहती है? ये सीएससी की स्टडी ये कहती है कि ये दिल्ली के अंदर जो प्रदूषण है उस प्रदूषण में 31% दिल्ली के लोकल जो सोर्स हैं उनका पोल्यूशन है। लोकल सोर्स क्या? व्हीकल पोल्यूशन का, जो गाड़ियां दिल्ली में चलती हैं उनका पोल्यूशन। दिल्ली के अंदर जो कंस्ट्रक्शन होता है, डस्ट पोल्यूशन, उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन।
दिल्ली के आम आदमी पार्टी के मंत्री गोपाल राय जी ने मान लिया कि अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की नाकामी के कारण दिल्ली आज इन हालातों में पहुंची है। अब तक अरविंद केजरीवाल और बाकी लोग कभी पंजाब को दोषी मानते थे, कभी किसी को, लेकिन आज तो गोपाल राय जी ने मान लिया कि अब तो पंजाब भी दोषी नहीं है। पंजाब का धुआं दिल्ली में नहीं आ रहा। दिल्ली के हालात इतने बदतर कर दिए अरविंद केजरीवाल जी ने कि आज दिल्ली के बच्चे सांस नहीं ले पा रहे।
We want to stay away from all of that bickering. What we want to do is have a sane conversation with a panel of experts. And we will also put for our viewers why this particular plan we are saying has failed. Remember, the goal was set for 20 to 30% reduction in the PM or particulate matter 2.5 and particulate matter 10 concentration levels from 2017 by 2024. The reality is no difference in overall PM 2.5 trends witnessed between cities that are under this program and those cities which are outside this program. This is as per information from the Center for Science and Environment. Also, only 10% of the statutory towns have air quality monitoring. Only 14 cities have registered in this particular period. All of that information on your screens right now. 7 cities, including Delhi, show negligible change. That is the reason we are saying this clean air program has failed. 16 cities registered significant increase. So it's working the other way around. Let's introduce, joining us here on the program, Mr. Shailesh Gandhi, former CIC from the Central Information Commission. Let's also introduce Shibani Ghosh, fellow from the Center for Policy Research and Environmental Lawyer. Huda Zariwala, political analyst, supports the Aam Aadmi Party. Very good evening to all of you. Thanks for joining us on the program. Very warm welcome. This is an important issue. We do it year after year, and we want to keep the focus on this issue lest the authorities think that no one is watching. We are watching. We are a channel that is always watching and bringing out issues that are important. I want to begin with you, Mr. Gandhi, that here is a so-called clean air program which looks like a colossal failure. When we will have our AQI grids running in the bottom of our screens, there is simply no improvement. There is deterioration in 14 cities, as I just read out.
India has the unique disadvantage of seeing that in the first 110 livability index of the world, no Indian city features. No Indian city in the first 110. We need to sit up. Do we have technological problems? The answer is no. Technology-wise, we are as far ahead as anyone in the world. In fact, there are locally made, very good air pollution monitors which are available very cheap. But there is a great stress on importing these equipment rather than buying locally. Our machines are going all over the world, but India is not accepting that. Where is the plan? For local parali burning, as mentioned, there are other alternates available which may be more expensive. Is human life more valuable, or is money the issue? Instead of giving 5,000 rupees to construction workers and wasting money everywhere, why don't they subsidize the other alternate methods for destroying parali? That would be a sensible way to go. This, I think, is showing absolute lack of application of mind and absolute lack of governance in the country.
It's precisely what we are questioning right now. The central government comes up with new action plan for tackling pollution every year. The graded response action plan kicked in 2017. It was supposed to be a comprehensive plan. It was supposed to be inclusive, of other states and a coordinated program. In 2018, you had the National Clean Air Program. Look at the number of tribunals, committees, boards, pollution control boards that are working. And I read this article, this morning that said even if you look at the composition of the pollution control boards, you will see that people who are either not competent or not fully into the job are present in that in most of the state pollution control boards. Shibani Ghosh, would you like to comment?
This is a research that we've been doing for the past year, and particularly focusing on the pollution control boards in the Indo-Gangetic Plain, which is one of the worst affected regions in the world as far as air quality is concerned. And the composition of the boards across the states, it's worrying because you have more than 50% of the board members representing persons or stakeholders who are actually potential polluters. So municipal corporations, industry associations, who are, of course, stakeholders in the issue, but their representation is rather skewed because, on the other hand, you don't have air quality experts, you don't have anyone from the medical fraternity, people from the public health sector, academics. It's really surprising how the state governments and the central governments plan to, combat this epic proportion, this epic public health crisis that we have in our hand without expertise. So it's not clear to me that in terms of institutional capacity and competence, what is exactly the government has in mind to deal with this crisis.
Are you saying there's complete non-seriousness? Are you saying that these boards, tribunals, committees set up and functioning on taxpayers' money has simply failed to deliver? Should they all be disbanded? Should we start afresh? Shibani Ghosh?
Well, even with new institutions, we don't necessarily do very well. So while we can come up with new institutions in parallel, we have the new Commission for Air Quality Management, which is really the new kid on the block, and we are yet to see how well it performs.
Yes.
I think there are sufficient powers and functions in the existing law. And in fact, the Air Act or the Water Act that we go back to, it's about 4 decades old. There are enough hooks in these laws that if both the central government the state governments are keen, if they have the political will to take some action, they can.
How will they have political will? The problem is, you see, there are political compulsions. You will not penalize the farmers. The farmer sentiment is paramount. The farmer appeasement, in fact, is paramount. There are vote bank politics. I mean, there are so many other factors that come in that perhaps, do not, even if you want to, you cannot take that particular step which is necessary. Do we need more aggressive implementation? Yes. But will it be done? Perhaps no. Huda Zariwala, that is what we are seeing now. When you have the environment minister, rather than addressing the issue, accepting that implementation has not been done in the right earnest, municipalities have failed. This is an issue that requires micromanagement, and if you do not empower the civic bodies, obviously this is not going to work out. You cannot expect the state government to have eyes and ears everywhere. What municipality is doing? Simply nothing. What we found out is their excuses: we do not have the funds. How can a system work in this manner? Huda Zariwala.
Absolutely. This is going to be a cumulative effort from both the center and the state. And we're not just talking about one state. We're talking about the UT Delhi, of course, and then the surrounding states to work together, make a cumulative effort to actually address the issue, bring sort of solutions to the issue. And definitely, there's a whole political bickering going on, which is not helping matters. The pollution has been an issue for years now.
There is one thing I want the Aam Aadmi Party to answer, since their party does not send us representatives. I'm asking you this question. Time and again, we bring up stubble burning. That accounts for 25 to, say 30% of the problem. What about the rest of the 70%? Look at the amount of dust generated in the streets of Delhi because you do not have roads that are cemented end to end. What about the issue of these construction activities only stopped for a brief period? Now Mr. Kejriwal says, I will give you 5,000 rupees, stop this, only to resume later. How will the problem be addressed when you don't set in a certain culture? It will not work in a piecemeal basis. And of course, there are officers to be bribed, there are civic authorities to be bribed. All that compounds the problem. What you heard Ms. Shibani Ghosh saying is a complete lack of seriousness here. Nobody cares.
Absolutely.
So you're agreeing nobody cares. The Aam Aadmi Party does not deserve to be in power, ma'am, if they cannot give the citizen clean breathing air.
I beg to differ. Aam Aadmi Party is perhaps the one party that has been behind the pollution issue time and again. I mean, yes, you are right. right, it is not just about the stubble burning, but if we talk even the stubble burning and we talk about the censuses from the neighboring states, the neighboring cities, I will quote Kanpur. Just yesterday, the AQI was 343, which is at an alarming rate. Faridabad was 273, Greater Noida was 271. I mean, these are basically not AAP-ruled states, and yet at the same time, where do we see the initiative from the BJP? I mean, except for putting the blame on.
No, all I'm saying, I do agree. The adjoining states have a role to play. It has to be a comprehensive plan. All I'm saying is, has the Delhi government done its bit?
Absolutely.
Has it done everything that it could do on its part? I'm afraid no. I have a caller. Let's hear the citizens. Let's hear the citizens. Mr. A.K. Chatterjee joins us from Delhi. Yes, Mr. Chatterjee, we have a panel here. One member of the panel thinks that it is a cumulative effort and that is where we are failing. What, according to you, is the reason that you are still breathing toxic, poisonous air in Delhi despite so many committees and boards working on a clean air program?
Yes. Can I speak now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yes. As I said, my name is Dr. A.K. Chatterjee. I have more than 50 years experience in the agro-based residue used for the pulp and paper making. So if the government, all the 3-4 government and the scientists are serious,
you will have to switch off the television set behind you because that will interrupt with the audio link. Go ahead, sir.
My suggestion is this: there should be 3-party very serious, and the zonal and the area-wise, there can be put a 50-ton or 100-ton rice straw-based pulp and paper can make the corrugation boards. And that is the only solutions. It will be a huge money and fund generations. All the farmers and governments, all the plant and machineries, everything can be making a profit. That is the only solutions and balance. This stubble can be made in the form of a bale, can be used in the boiler, which is...
All of these solutions, Dr. Chatterjee, has been discussed, has been introduced. When it comes to implementation, when it comes to enforcement, it is not working out. We spoke to farmers who tell us that, yes, we are aware about this alternative method. The problem is it's not affordable for me. The farmer, in my understanding, would not do it on purpose if he indeed did have a better option, safer option. By now, I'm sure the farmers are aware that this causes pollution. So it is only if they have no other option, it is only as a last resort stubble burning is happening. I have other callers. Srinivasan from Belgaum in Karnataka. Yes, Mr. Srinivasan.
Yeah, good evening. See, as you said correctly, the farmer does not have an option because the governments, whether in the state or the center, are not actually connected to the ground level farmer. There are lakhs of tons of parali which is actually being generated every year. Now, where does the farmer throw it? There are only 2 options. As doctor previously told, that there can be a industry which uses the parali for making paper and all. Second thing is, the agriculture department has to have the parali can be used very well in generation of vermicompost, which will also give generation to organic farming. The third thing is, and for removing parali, the machine should be in a communal fashion. Communal fashion means in a village there must be 1 machine, or in a taluk there must be 1 or 2 machines, so that the farmer just for 2-3 days he does not have to invest even after subsidy 2 to 3 lakh rupees. That is the only. But
thank you, Dr. Chatterjee and Mr. Srinivasan. But a disproportionate amount of attention is focused on stubble burning. So I want to draw attention back to the other factors as well. I would like to bring in Shibani Ghosh and Mr. Gandhi again. Mr. Shailesh Gandhi, from what you understand, from the breakup that you see of the pollutants, which according to you is the gravest here, and has the the authorities here fail to understand that there is a lot that you can do. I do understand that there is a geographical issue with Delhi. I do understand that there are weather conditions responsible. There's a part that is not in your hands. But what about the part that the government can change? In your understanding, has enough been done?
I think Shibani accurately pinpointed one serious problem in all regulations in our country. in all these matters. Regulators at the top are chosen arbitrarily. In fact, Delhi, I believe, has 50% vacancy in the environmental staff. 50% is absurd. You don't have staff. The top people you hire are people who have no special expertise. And this applies to the Human Rights Commission, Women's Commission, Children's Commission, Information Commissions, to all these. At the top, we select people by political patronage or bureaucratic networking without any expertise. If there are experts who are selected, as Shibani rightly pointed out, and it is not very difficult, worldwide this is done. India is nothing special, but we've accepted this and we do not monitor these people. And just one example from a slightly different perspective. Lakhs of citizens are out of the streets for a Lokpal. There's a national Lokpal today, burning over 3 crore rupees per month, doing nothing in Delhi, doing virtually nothing. And we tolerate this. What we need is active citizenship, but more importantly, all regulators and commissions must be headed by people who are understanding that topic. Without that, we'll keep discussing this. This will become a
There's no intent. And it costs nothing. It takes nothing except for political intent, sir. What you're saying perhaps only takes a vision. It takes clear political intent to have people with domain expertise sitting in those positions.
And we should insist on that.
Right. You know, I have two callers again. I'm going to Shibani Ghosh for the last word. But before that, Mr. Manohar from Delhi. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Afrida.
Afrida, yes.
This problem which you are discussing is a small problem. Our government is just neglecting. Hello?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying this is a very small problem. And this is being neglected because it is not being ruled by BJP. They are spending Ram Mandir and this Mandir, that Mandir, and everything. And this is a small problem.
Okay, I almost misunderstood you when you said the small problem. I get it that you're saying it sarcastically. Ki it's such a small issue for the ruling party at the center, since that they do not bother. That is what Mr. Manohar is saying. Kaustav from Gurugram also joining us. Go ahead, Kaustav. Okay, I don't think I have the line. Shibani Ghosh, yes. Okay, I also have another caller, Sashi Madan from Delhi. Yes, Mr. Madan. Mr. Madan, can you hear me? If you were listening to the conversation, we were talking about how there is a lack of political intent, things that can be changed also not being done, despite a channel like ours repeatedly year on year pointing out these issues.
You know, water is made of H2O, or oxygen is also in water. Why can't they use water against all this? They have to sprinkle water so that the oxygen is, ample oxygen is produced and people don't choke.
Okay, important, interesting solution being offered by Sashi Madan. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the callers who have joined in. I want to go back to Shibani Ghosh, who's done a lot of study and research in this entire area. Ms. Ghosh, you know, top 3 points that you would like to make at this juncture. What needs to be immediately done?
3 things I'd like to say. That first of all, this is not an environmental problem alone. It's a health issue. It has economic implications, and we should not forget that. I think when we consign this to be an environmental issue, that's when it becomes a problem of environmental departments and pollution control boards alone. And that's where the problem doesn't get the importance it needs to in our policy measure kind of priorities within governments, both at the center and the state levels. The second issue I want to raise is that this is not an urban problem. 80%, more than 80% of the Indian population across the country, whether in urban areas, rural settlements, peri-urban areas, are exposed to poor quality of air. So I mean, looking at, giving money to urban local bodies to for air quality improvements is good and fine, but we need to look at this problem at an airshed level. It's a regional problem. There is no point in looking at city level within the traditional administrative or geographical jurisdiction. It doesn't work that way. Air doesn't move that way, smoke doesn't move that way, and we need to move our planning in that direction. And finally, I think the sources of pollution, while different across the country, we cannot focus on just one. Stubble burning is a problem, a sporadic seasonal problem. It's an important, critical issue, but not the issue that affects us throughout the year. We have transport and freight and public transport. We have industries, power plants, construction sites. All of these, we have to tackle them in parallel and together. So even looking at one time is not going to help. Programs like the GRAP are emergency measures, they're ad hoc measures, and therefore just concentrating on those makes us complacent. We start thinking that we've tackled the problem, and we really haven't. As you've mentioned yourself in the program earlier, these all just come into place in September, October, and then kind of fade away in January, February. And while they're very important right now, that's not going to lead to any systemic reforms.
Yes. Thank you so much. Some very important points made here. I hope the authorities are listening, because we would really like to have experts in these pollution boards. To begin with, let's just at least have that one change made. Let's begin from there, that it starts from there. When you have the right people on the right job, a lot of things can change. I think that's a big takeaway from all our panelists today. Thank you very much for joining us on the program with your informed opinion on the subject.
Thank you.
A very short break here. On the other side, we'll take you through King Khan's journey as he turns 57. Wishes pouring for Shah Rukh Khan. Stay tuned.